Hey guys, today I wanted to show you how to make a pumpkin pie, which while not necessarily makeup related, is definitely holiday related. So this way you don't ever have to show up empty-handed to any Thanksgivings, Friendsgivings, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa parties, whatever's up. You can always take a pie. And I actually make my own crust, so let's start with that. Of course, I will put this entire recipe down in the bottom, but basically, I already measured out the shortening, which is 1/3 cup and 1 tablespoon per pie crust. So I'm actually making 2 pie crusts. And hey Megan, how you doing? She stopped by and brought Dairy Queen while we were hanging out. I made a pie while my friends were over, no big deal. And now I'm adding in the flour, which it's 1 cup of flour per pie crust, so I put in two, and half a teaspoon of salt, so I put in a full teaspoon. And then you have to cut in the shortening into the flour and salt. So I find that easier to do with my fingers than with a knife, just because shortening is so annoying. But I will say, get the bar shortening. You can see it here in this little silver packaging. It's so much easier to measure. Like, seriously, 100% worth it. Get the bar shortening. And then after you have cut the shortening in, get water, and my recipe officially says like 2 to 3 tablespoons of cold water, but I have had better results if I put in more. If I just keep putting in water until the pie crust feels right, it has to be pretty sticky. If I only put in 2 or 3 tablespoons, it doesn't stick to itself. Anyway, I was making my pie crust the night before, and then I forgot to get out plastic wrap before my hands were covered, so my husband brought me some plastic wrap. So yeah, I made it the night before. You can keep pie crust in the fridge. There are actually some people who think that it works better if that's what you do. I don't think I have an opinion yet, but it's absolutely an option. So the next day, you get out your pie crust and then everything that you need for the pie. So you need some spices and you need your pie filling, which is your pumpkin pie and evaporated milk. And then you also need eggs, which when your fridge is full of turkey instead of eggs, you can't find them, but I did eventually find them. Also, I forgot to take out my pie crust until right when I wanted to make it. So I put it in a plastic bag and dropped it in some hot water. I do not really recommend this. I would just say remember to take your pie crust out so it can start to warm up. And so I realized that to make 2 pies, I needed 4 eggs, and I only had 3. So that was really smart. While I'm doing the rest of this, my husband is going to the grocery store because he is a gentleman and a scholar. So this is basically just the Libby's pumpkin pie recipe. Honestly, that's all I do. I do the recipe that's on the can, and it's perfect every time. So first you mix sugar, salt, cinnamon, ginger, and cloves in one bowl. And again, I have doubled all of the amounts, but I'll have the recipe down below. You can do that as you need to do or not if you're only making one. So then you're going to mix all of those things together here, and then, here, listen to this. My hero! I love you.
You better.
When I say I love you, you say you better. You better, you better, you better. What? Oh, life. Sorry, that is not what I heard. Sorry, I didn't hear a shadow owl. I heard a curse word. So that's life in our household. A lot of singing and a lot of silliness, which I like. But thanks, honey, for bringing me eggs. You're the best. So then you have to beat those eggs. I don't even get out a whisk because I hate cleaning whisks, so I just beat the eggs with a fork. And then you gradually mix in all the sugar and other dry ingredients that you had already mixed together. So all of that is now in this big purple bowl. Now we're going to put in the other pie filling, so all the wet stuff. And I kind of make a mistake here. But before we get into that, notice how on the evaporated milk I make 2 cuts. So I make one bigger cut on one side and then a smaller cut on the other. And then it's really easy to pour. Look at that. So that is definitely a big tip. My mom taught me that. And it has made a huge difference in my evaporated milk life. But I poured it in first because I wanted to show you that. And that's really not how you should do it. It's easier if you put the pumpkin pie in first, which is actually what the recipe says to do. So just don't make my mistake here. Put in the pumpkin pie, mix that all together, and then gradually add in the evaporated milk. It took me a lot longer to mix them together this way than it normally does. Once it's all mixed together, it looks about like that. It's really pretty much just the color of pumpkin. But now I'm going to go ahead and add in the second pie filling stuff since I'm making two. You can buy one bigger can if you're making two, but I wasn't sure how many I was making for all of my Thanksgivings this week, so I just bought a whole bunch of one normal size cans and we're putting them together that way. So this is the way you really should do it. Do about a third to a half of the can of evaporated milk after you've already put in the pumpkin pie, mix it together, and then add in the rest of the evaporated milk, and your arm will be really tired. So if you have a mixer, use a mixer. I think we have an immersion blender, but I was way too lazy to go find it, and it really didn't take me that long, and I'm not a super strong girl, so if I can do it, you can do it. And when it looks like this, it's ready to go. Also, big huge tip, because someone's going to end up throwing away the can, take the recipe off just so you have it and it's safe and you know exactly how long to cook it for later, because you're probably going to forget. Now it is time to roll out the pie crust, and these are my tools that I use to make this successful every time. The Tupperware mat my mom got me for Christmas a couple years ago. I think she had to buy it on eBay, but they used to be made all the time, so I don't think they're impossible to find. And a good rolling pin makes a big difference too. This one's pure solid wood, and it has a really nice weight to it, and having a heavier one makes it easier for you. So now you're just going to, if you're making a two pie, divide the crust up into two bits, obviously, because you can't make one giant pie crust for two pies. And I suggest starting that with your hands, but if you prefer starting it with the roller, that's also fine. And don't forget to flour the roller. Yeah, I did that once and it was not fun. So when you're rolling, always make sure you're pressing out, not down. Just works better as far as I can tell. I'm sure that my grandma had a reason for it, but that's how I've been told to do it. Press out, not down, and then make sure that you're flipping it and turning it all the time and keep it well floured so nothing ends up sticking to itself, and that's pretty much the whole process. You just keep doing that for a long time until it's big enough, and now it's big enough. And you can pick it up either with your hands or get fancy and do it with the roller. And then these are brand new pie plates that my mother-in-law gave to me, so they're deeper than normal. I wasn't really used to them yet, but they're pretty cool. I think I like them. Any old pie plate will do though, really, except for the tinfoil ones. They're probably not your best bet. So now I'm doing my second pie crust exactly the same way, and once they're done, you just cut off the excess with a regular old table knife. And I didn't have to pinch the edges on this because of the shape of the pie plate, but if you do need to pinch them, it's really easy. Just pinch it and twist and 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 so on and so forth. And then you just fill your pie and get it all over your hand, apparently, because I can't be on camera and do things neatly. So yeah, good job me. But there are two pies ready to go in the oven, and that oven is at 425, and you have to do it at 425 for 15 minutes first to start with. Counting down, counting down, counting down. Are we ready? Are we ready? And then after the 15 minutes, you reset it to 350 and do that for 45 to 50 minutes. I actually think I ended up leaving it in for about 55 in this oven, but in the oven that I had last year in my apartment, I think I only had to do it for 40 to 45. So really you should be able to, if you put a toothpick in the outside half of the pie, it should come out pretty clean, but the center should be just a little bit jiggly. And then after you let them cool, they are good to eat, and there's your pumpkin pie, and you'll be the life of the party. Well, you won't be I don't know about that, but people will enjoy your pie, that's for sure. So thanks for checking that out, and I will see you again very soon, guys. Bye.